My name is Bradley Berry, and this is the story of my fall.
The phone rang a little before 3 a.m., and it was the call that no parent wants to get, and that was from the Dean of Students saying, there's been an accident, your son's been life flighted to a hospital in Chattanooga, and every emotion went off in my mind. So we drove to Chattanooga, and we were able to go back and see him, and to see, literally 24 hours before this young man ready to take on the world, and then him to be hooked up to every tube in the world in trauma ICU, having survived the fall that was unsurvivable, between 50 and 60 feet off a cliff.
That day I fell, I remember driving up, and that's the last thing I remember. Also a weird premonition, like that I wouldn't leave the mountain Sewanee alive. It was weird. It was just came over me, just like, and I brushed it off. Like, nah.
That night when Bradley fell, the only explanation that I can give, after listening to all of the doctors and all of them telling us that at times that we should just prepare ourselves because he's not going to be able to survive these injuries, was that God, in that moment, he intervened at that point and sent his army of angels to come down and to take out of the very, very worst circumstance and make it the best.
That night, in the room, and things changed. It was like a light came on in that room during that healing service, and he was not in good shape at all before this service. He had a bad brainstorm. But the best was when our friends who had been at the healing service here at the church would start texting the pictures of this chapel being so full, and people outside, and even in the parking lot. And you felt those prayers. And at that time, I understood what it meant to stand in the gap for someone. That there was such a complete wholeness around Bradley. And that we were gonna make it. There was no turning back. We were gonna make it.
I remember opening my eyes one day in Chattanooga. Don't remember many details, but I saw like parents, grandparents, like all these nurses, and I'm like thinking to myself, what the heck happened?
There'd been several falls off this trail, and Bradley had the worst injuries, but he was the only one that made it. So we just felt God's hand in everything. We'd watched, I had too many Lifetime channels where the person's in a coma, they hear their mother's voice, they respond, they remember everything. Mother, father, I'm so glad to see you. Well, it's so not like that in real life, but that was so not our experience.
But a lot of the things I think I can do take for a long time, and have taken a long time and still was. But I see it in the results. The proof is in the pudding. I'm back at university. I'm gonna actually up the ante a bit and take 2 courses this coming fall. So that's where I see God. And the reason why I'm not crying is because I've not been able to cry. A lot of the emotions, especially strong emotions, have been dulled, especially by the injury. But I really want to.
Mike's teaching, particularly the one that said, as parents, we had total authority over him. And so to pray with that authority. And so we prayed with the intensity that Mike taught us to. And to put our prayers out there. And to, that God is right there, and it's a conversation. and that He hears every one of our prayers. And He may not answer them like we want Him to, but He answers them in the best possible way.
You know, Mike gave us and taught us about the power of prayer and healing. And that healing and that prayer worked.
I only go big or go home with my miracles. That's my story, and enjoy your evening with Mike Endicott.